The craziest thing about the WNBA is that 24 hours can pass and you will feel like you missed everything. I just dropped an episode yesterday, and just from those 24 hours to now, I have so many new updates. So welcome back to Let's Talk Hoops. This is episode 10 and a half. I'm your host, Cassie Chantel. Some of y'all call me Coach C, but let's get into it. So first things first, the WNBA announced new expansion teams. They plan on having 18 teams by the year 2030. Those cities are Cleveland, Detroit, Philadelphia, but the biggest news in this for me is the team that did not win a bid, and that's the Tennessee Summitt. And the ownership group is star-studded. It includes Candace Parker, and that name alone is big enough for me. So I don't know if I do know all of these decisions are strictly financial, right? So clearly they must have been outbid by these teams that have NBA ownership groups. So that means billions of dollars on the line. So financially, I'm happy about it because I think that points to better facilities, and it's time for the WNBA to catch up technology-wise, facility-wise with their male counterparts. So I'm at least happy about that, but I'm disappointed that the Tennessee Summitt is not going to be a thing. I feel like that's a great name. Nashville is a great place. So maybe by the next expansion, we'll see the Tennessee Summitt. In other news, Julie Vanloo was waived by the Golden State Valkyries. That also includes Chloe Bibby was waived and Bree was waived. And I'm really sad the most about Julie Vanloo because she's just one of my favorite players. She's very exciting to watch. But unfortunately, she just wasn't having a really strong season. She had some big moments with the Valkyries, but just wasn't carrying her weight compared to other guards on their team. And I just feel like they have a really strong core. She made some big mistakes when it came to turnover wise, and I think that the trust was a little bit lost down the stretch from Coach Nakase, and I wish her the best. I hope she ends up landing on another team. A lot of people have thrown out Chicago Sky. Chicago does need guards, but honestly, Chicago is faring all right with Angel Reese running the point forward. They've had a lot of improvements since the beginning of the season to now, but we'll get into them soon. Chloe Bibby was performing pretty strong, and I'm surprised to see her be waived. For the season, she's averaging 6 points in about 13 minutes. She didn't start any of the games, so all of her efforts were coming off of the bench. Her field goal percentage was 40%. Her three-point percentage was 42%, but I guess she's just not what they're looking for or not what they need at the time, and I'm interested to see if she ends up being picked up by another team. Now in another episode down the line, I can't remember which one, I said that Chloe Bibby was related to Mike Bibby. That was indeed false, so I do apologize for that misinformation. I just wanted to clear that up. In other news, NaLyssa Smith was also a huge transaction that happened today. She was traded from the Dallas Wings to the Las Vegas Aces for a 2027 first round draft pick. That is huge and exciting news. I feel like for most Aces fans, we've been talking about needing more of a presence in the post to alleviate some of that pressure that A'ja Wilson feels night in and night out to score, because other than A'ja, they don't really have other scoring threats, especially with Meg Gustafson sideline with a lower leg injury, and the timetable on her return is still up in the air. We don't know. The Aces are really secretive about their injury report. So I think NaLyssa Smith is really strong. If you saw my short reel, then you know all of the points, and I encourage you to go look at that if you have not. But I think NaLyssa Smith is going to be successful. She wasn't having a great start to her season with Dallas. She was underperforming in every major stat, and I think it was a matter of fit, but I think that she will fit well in this Aces system, but we shall see, because I was wrong. I thought Jordan Holmes was going to be a better fit than what she's faring out to be. I don't know. We'll see. I think that it's a strong move. Time will always tell. So Caitlin Clark was seen partially practicing with the Indiana Fever. The Commissioner's Cup is on Tuesday, July 1st, aka tomorrow. So this brings me back to what I talked about in episode 10, how I felt like she was not faking an injury. But now that they're saying that she's questionable and they've moved her to day, groin injuries just do not heal that quickly. So unless they're using a lot of painkillers and they're shooting her up with steroids and they just have some magic the medical staff has some magic that I don't know about. I'm just really unsure at this point about this. I don't know. Something ain't clean in the water with this one, because growing injuries really take at least a week. It hasn't really been a week. It's really, it might be just at a week that we're at from knowing about this injury, and it coming off the back of another injury just makes me feel like this injury would take longer to heal. But we'll see. I'm sure they'll announce it. They have to announce it at some point tomorrow. And they could be one of those teams that is trying to keep things under wraps so the Minnesota Lynx aren't able to fully prepare for Caitlin Clark. But knowing Cheryl Reeve and the staff that she has, they're preparing for whatever. So I'm just trusting the Minnesota defense is going to figure it out regardless. But something seems fishy if she does play in this game after being out with a growing injury, because of what we know about growing injuries. Now, moving into that Chicago Sky versus Los Angeles Sparks matchup. Chicago won 92-85, and I just have to say that Chicago versus Los Angeles is becoming one of those undersung rivalries. We need to be talking about this more. I feel like that there are a lot of matchup rivalries within games within the WNBA that are just not talked about enough. And in this particular matchup, it's the matchup between Angel Reese and Dearica Hamby. With Dearica Hamby being somewhat of a mentor for Angel Reese, I just feel like this is exciting to watch. And Angel is really on a heater for the past 4 games. In her last 4 games, she has 69 points. She's shooting 45% from the floor, 82% from the free throw line. She has 70 rebounds and 19 assists. When we're looking at the numbers between the two teams, Chicago shot 48.5% from the floor to the Sparks is 41.7% from the three-point line. That Chicago was 42% to the Sparks 32%. Chicago is really coming together, and I'm happy to see it, because I, for one, was frustrated with what I was looking at for the first part of the season. In the interview, Angel said that she played terrible the first 8 games. So it's good to see that she's honest with where she is, and she knows that she has to make those improvements. And maybe Jeff calling her out in that interview struck a fire, and maybe he did that on purpose because he knows the type of player that he has, and it was strategic. So if that's the case, and if that was all motivation, I get it. I love it. I love to see Angel Reese doing well, even though some people take my criticism as hate. I'm one of the biggest Angel Reese fans. So I love to see her doing well, and everything that I'm saying is for her to get better. And I hope that they play my videos as motivation. You know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody's saying that you need to improve on things that you feel like you already do well, then just prove me wrong. That's all I'm saying. Do what you need to do to prove me wrong, to shut me up, to turn me into a cheerleader, even though I've always been a cheerleader. But yeah, so on the offensive boards, I'm honestly surprised that the Sparks out-rebounded Chicago 12-9 on the offensive boards and were still losing and still lost this battle, because usually that's the other way around when a team is able to get that many second chance points. In total, the Sparks and the Chicago Sky both had 22 assists. Chicago has 6 steals to Los Angeles 7 steals. The big thing here is Chicago had 7 blocks. I really love the block party that was going on. Azurá Stevens has just been solid for the Sparks, and it's really tough to see them lose because I feel like they're playing better. I feel like they're improving with every game that I see them, but it's just not translating into wins. Coach Lynn Roberts attributed to just not being able to close in the fourth quarter, and that's usually the case for newer teams, for teams that are just trying to find their chemistry, because it relates to composure and the maturity levels of those players. And they have some vets in Dearica Hamby and Kelsey Plum, but it just hasn't been enough to get them over that hump. And I have to mention the point where Angel Reese looked into the camera. We have to look back at that first game where the Sparks actually beat Chicago and Kelsey Plum hit that "you're too small." I feel like that was payback, because looking into the camera and making a face, that is a Kelsey Plum move that Angel Reese hit. So since Kelsey Plum took that "you're too little," I think that was a little payback. I don't know if y'all read between the lines, but that's what I'm getting from it. I thought that was a great moment, and it's going to be used for GIFs to come for a very long time. Now, I have to compare these two players because that's what the media does. But let's look at the numbers between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark thus far in the season. And I know they play two different positions, but we're here now. We know that these players are going to be compared to each other's. So let's just do it. So Angel Reese has played 16 games to Caitlin Clark's 9. In those games, Caitlin Clark has averaged 33 minutes. Angel Reese has averaged 30 minutes. Caitlin Clark has averaged 18.2 points. Angel Reese has averaged 12.4 points. Total rebounds, Caitlin Clark is averaging 5 rebounds to Angel's 12.6 rebounds. She's actually leading the league in this stat. Caitlin Clark is leading the league in assists. Well, she's tied with NaLyssa Thomas with 8.9 assists. Angel Reese has 3.8 assists. Caitlin Clark has she's averaging 1.6 steals. Angel Reese is averaging 1.8 blocks, 0.7 for Clark, 0.6 for Angel Reese. The big stat line here for Clark is 5.9 turnovers a game to Angel Reese's 3.4. And interestingly enough, Angel Reese is actually leading in field goal percentage. Caitlin Clark is averaging 39% field goals, while Angel Reese is averaging 40.6% field goals. Caitlin Clark is averaging 29.5% from the three-point line, while Angel Reese is not far behind, 26.7% from the three-point line. Caitlin Clark is leading in free throw percentage, 81.6% from the free throw line to Angel Reese's 79.2% from the free throw line. And Caitlin Clark is averaging a few more fouls, 3.3 fouls a game to Angel Reese's 3.2 a game. So what that tells me is that their sophomore seasons, even though Caitlin Clark has played less games, there's not a huge gap in how they're performing in their sophomore seasons. I'll also have to bring in Rickea Jackson, who is a little underwhelming this season. I'm really hoping that she begins to get that together because her stats are a little bit lower from her rookie season. In her rookie season, she averaged 13.4 points. Right now, she's averaging 12 points a game. She's averaging 2.7 rebounds. To her rookie season, she was averaging 3.9. She's averaging a little more in assists, 1.6 assists a game. Her rookie season, 1.5. She's averaging a little less steals, 0.6 this season. Her rookie season, 0.7. A few less blocks, should I say, 0.3 this season to her rookie season, 0.4. And she's averaging more turnovers, 2.3 turnovers this season. Last season, 1.9. Her field goal percentage is down 39.6 to her rookie season, 45.6. Her three-point percentage is down. She's actually taking more three-point shots, so that is it's expected a little bit. 27.5% this season to last season's 34.7%. So I'm hoping to see Rickea Jackson improve because I just expected her to have a standout season. But sometimes, you go through a slump, shooters got to shoot themselves out of it, and we're still not even at the midpoint of the season. Now, WNBA All-Star Game starters, the names have been released. So let's go through them. Sabrina Ionescu, Caitlin Clark, Satu Sabley, Paige Beckers, Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Nneka Ogwumike, Aaliyah Boston, Alicia Gray, Napheesa Collier. Honestly, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty satisfied with this group of players. Fan voting is worth 50%, while media and player votes are each worth 25%. The 4 guards and 6 front court players with the best score from tally votes will be named as starters. So that is how we got this lineup that we have today. The team captains are going to be the players with the most amount of popular votes. So it looks like it's going to be Caitlin Clark and Napheesa Collier. It's also interesting to see how players ranked some of these players. Paige Beckers was ranked 4th amongst player votes, while Caitlin Clark was ranked 9th. So that says a lot that the players in the league are ranking Paige Beckers' performance this season over Caitlin Clark's. And I mean, it's just at the midpoint, but I think that that's interesting to see. And it could be attributed to the fact that Caitlin Clark has played less games and the fact that Paige Beckers has simply been impressive. And I've done a video in the past comparing them, but really comparing their rookie numbers. So Caitlin Clark's rookie numbers to Paige Beckers' rookie numbers, and they're pretty comparable. And I think that over time, we're going to see Paige Beckers numbers improve and she may turn out to be a better player in the W than Caitlin Clark altogether. But that's debatable, and that's not what we're talking about. It's also interesting to see that Allisha Gray was ranked number 1 in player ranking. I just think that the player rankings should outweigh everything. I think that, of course, everyone is biased, but I think media and fan are definitely biased. But I understand why the fan vote is counting more than anyone else's vote, because the All-Star game is really for the fans. It's just a really great moment. I would like to see them add more events to the All-Star games. So if they add more to the All-Star games, then they can base some of these things on statistical achievements. So if statistical achievements are weighted in to other categories, then we'll see more names be in the All-Star games. And I feel like there have absolutely been more players deserving of All-Star treatment, but this is very early. This is just the starters, you know. NaLyssa Collier is ranked number 2 amongst players, and A'ja Wilson was ranked number 1 amongst players. So even though NaLyssa Collier, in my opinion, has been the MVP of the season thus far, players are still ranking A'ja Wilson over NaLyssa Collier. That's interesting to me. And it's still going to be the MVP voting at the end of the season is going to be interesting to me, because right now I think NaLyssa Collier has it. I think that NaLyssa has been the best player in the league thus far. And people are going to come at me, but I just think that NaLyssa has a wider variety or wider range to her game right now, and she's been the most consistent player. So yeah, taking a look at those voting numbers and how players are ranked has been really interesting. I'm really interested to see how the rest of the lineup fares out, and I'm definitely interested in how the players are going to draft. I obviously think that Caitlin Clark, as soon as she gets her pick, she's going to choose Aaliyah Boston to be on her team. And it's worthy to note that the Indiana Fever has 2 players as All-Stars, and the New York Liberty has 2 players as All-Stars right now. And even though Skylar Diggins isn't announced in his starting lineup, Skylar was ranked 3rd amongst players, and I think that says a lot. That means players respect Skylar, and I think they should, because Skylar has been having a standout season. Now, I'm a little disappointed to not see Gabby Williams, but I know that this is a popularity contest, but I don't understand why Gabby Williams isn't as popular as some of these other players that we see in this lineup, because she definitely has been having an All-Star worthy season statistically, but I don't know. She's beautiful, so I don't understand how more people aren't voting for that. But what are your thoughts, Hoops Tribe? We've had a jam-packed 24 hours. Who do you think should have been in the All-Star starters? This is Allisha Gray's first start. I think that is very exciting news for her. She definitely deserves it. She's been having a standout season, so I'm happy to see Atlanta in that starting lineup, because that's one of my teams. But as always, folks, let's talk hoops.